Yeah, we're really nailing that exposure setting.
This is a 2005 Chevy Silverado. It's got the Duramax diesel engine. You've probably seen it before. It belongs to one of my oldest customers. The check engine light is on. It's got a problem with the turbocharger, but the problem is very intermittent. This is actually my third time trying to fix it, and he's getting tired of bringing it. I'm getting tired of seeing it. We're going to try one more time, and if we can't make heads or tails of it, we're going to throw some parts at it. It's got a bunch of codes, but for now, we're going to focus on the P0046 turbo boost control position performance and the P2563 turbo boost control position sensor performance. I'm going to ignore the EGR codes and this glow plug code. I'm not an expert about Duramaxes. This is really the only one I ever work on. But from my limited experience, they seem to have a lot of EGR problems. And I've replaced the EGR actuator on this truck twice. And I think the problem is it has an aftermarket air filter. They use the mass airflow sensor some way to measure EGR flow. And they're extremely sensitive to mass airflow sensor performance and the air filter. If you don't use the actual GM factory air filter, they will set a check engine light. And actually, I think I even did a software update to try and fix that, and it still has these codes. Anyway, let's move on. So we're going to pull up some data down here for the turbocharger. Okay, so what we're going to do is watch the turbo vane position and then compare it to the turbo vane position command when I start the engine. They should be the same. So it says desired position is 75, the actual position is 45. Keeps raising it. There it goes. So I think that's the problem, is the delay between when the turbocharger, the sensor actually sees that it moved and when it commanded it to move. It should happen right away. See, now it's fine. That's it. That's pretty much all we have to go on. Of course, a turbo can't just be a turbo anymore. It's a variable geometry turbo. These things are complicated. There's a lot going on in here. Plus, this is all on the exhaust side, the hot side of the turbo. It's pretty amazing that it actually works. The secret is these variable vanes. They can change their angle to change how the exhaust gas flows past the turbine wheel. And they're all connected together by this steel ring called a unison ring. And when the ring rotates, it changes the angle of the vanes all together. And to rotate the unison ring, we use a piston that runs off of engine oil pressure. The pressure is controlled by a solenoid here, and the position of the piston is monitored by a position sensor. So it's a closed loop system. There's a lot of potential causes for the problem that we're seeing. We could have a bad solenoid, we could have a bad position sensor, we could have a problem in the piston, we could have a problem in the unison ring, or we could have a problem with the vanes. A mechanical problem that stops them from wanting to rotate. I don't know how we can possibly test that to determine which component is at fault. It's super intermittent. It only does it for a very short time on a cold start, and after that, there's nothing. There's no other symptoms. If we're going to throw parts at it, that gets expensive very quickly. The solenoid's about $250. The position sensor is $450. The internal components, they're not that expensive, but there's a bit of a problem with access. The turbo is back there somewhere. Maybe you can see it. To get it out of there, we have to remove the intake tube, the charge air cooler tube, the glow plug control module, the up pipes, the down pipe, the oil feed line, the coolant feed lines, possibly the AC compressor, and possibly some part of the EGR mechanism. The only thing I know is it's not going to fix itself. I tried that twice already. So we got to do something. We can replace the sensor and the solenoid without pulling the turbo for $700 or whatever. But I have a hunch that's not going to solve the problem. I suspect it's a mechanical issue with the unison ring or the vanes or maybe the piston. They're built up with carbon, or maybe they're just worn out. The truck's got 200,000 miles on it. But I don't want to pull that turbo out of there on a hunch. It's a huge job. Plus you're talking about a 20-year-old Midwestern truck. It's not a question of if we break something, it's how many things we break. Probably a lot. But it gets kind of weird. I can buy a complete reman turbo with a new sensor and solenoid for not much more than the price of a sensor and solenoid. I don't know how, but I can. So in my mind, that's a no-brainer. There's no way I'm going to pull the old turbo out and clean it or do whatever to it and put the old turbo back in. That's crazy. If he wants that done, he can take it somewhere else. So I think we're shopping for a reman turbo. If only there was a trustworthy source for parts and service of diesel injection pumps and turbochargers. Maybe one who has 3 convenient locations throughout the Midwest. Look at this little beauty. Thanks to our friends at Area Diesel Service in Carlinville, Illinois. They can repair or rebuild just about any turbocharger. But we actually went for a little upgrade. This is not a reman. It's a brand new turbo. And it is surprisingly affordable. I couldn't believe it. They're a master distributor for Garrett, also for Borg Warner. They can get you pretty much anything that you want. Plus, they're just good people to deal with. I also got an adapter for the sensor, which we may not need, and a bunch of gaskets and doodads for installing the turbo. So let's start ripping and tearing, get the old one off, and stick this little guy on. That wind. This thing's a frustrating mix of, is it DIN and JIC? So the Japanese parts use 12 and 14 millimeter, and the American parts use 13 and 15 millimeter. Let's see if we can get this heat. Get it out of there. trying to pull the down pipe so I can get to the back side of the turbo. Somebody's been here before. They stacked up at least 4 nuts on that V-band clamp, and I broke the stud off trying to get the first 2 off. So I don't know what's going on there. We may not be able to save that, which kind of sucks. But I'll do the best I can. It's pretty crusty down here. Okay, I finally got the down pipe loose. It was stuck in the back of the turbo. I think it'll come out of there without pulling the heat shield. Yeah, just like I said, you definitely have to pull the heat shield to remove the down pipe. Oh man, that is not fun. You gotta pull the transmission dipstick. Heat shield comes out the top, down pipe comes out the bottom. Life goes down the drain. Okay, there's another heat shield on the driver's side up pipe that has to be removed. It's got 4 bolts. I only broke 2. Now, you won't even be able to see it, but I have to unbolt the up pipes from the back of the turbo. They're 12 millimeter 12 point, and I gotta reach down here and try to break those loose. I can't even see them. I'm not even going to try to record that. And then once I get that done, or if I get that done, there's a oil drain tube on the bottom that goes kind of down to where the cam is. I think this is the supply and that's the drain. Anyway, we're getting close. Closer. I tell you what, somebody at Isuzu's got a sick sense of humor. That or they never had to work on one of these engines. I think it's loose. Oh yeah, we still got coolant lines. Who designed this freaking thing? Holy crap! There it is. Nothing to it. Just pull that turbo right out. Here's a helpful tip. If you want to record a video, you do have to push the record button. Anyway, I got the coolant tubes and the oil drain tube transferred to the new turbo. I also went ahead and removed the position sensor and the solenoid just to give us some more room to get the thing installed, because it is a tight fit. I also cracked open the old turbo, and I think my hunch is confirmed. This is the unison ring right here, and it should turn freely, and it definitely does not. There it is. Yeah. Yeah, it's all built up with carbon on that surface it's supposed to rotate on. So this fits on the vanes like, there it is. So as it rotates, it changes the angle of the vanes. But in order to do that, this little, oh, leaking everywhere, oil. This little lever here has to be able to rotate the ring. Oh, and that is not the case. So that's good. We made the right call. We got one more little issue before we install the new turbo. Our snack stealing friends built themselves a nest down here, which is pretty typical. Got some bedding and some snacks. It looks to me like this area was serving as a pantry, bedroom, and bathroom. And they've done quite a bit of peeing on this line. That's the oil supply line for the turbo. It's kind of crusty. Also, I didn't do it any favors when I was taking the turbo out. I kind of tweaked it a little bit, which is not designed to do. I think you're supposed to pull the EGR cooler, so you got room to get this line out of the way, which I didn't do. Anyway, long story short, I want to replace that line. I don't like it. I don't trust it. I don't want to ruin a new turbo. The problem is, this truck's 20 years old. This thing's hard to find. The local dealership, they told me they could get one maybe. It would take a week and it would cost $276, which is absolutely insane. Luckily, I found an aftermarket hose that was significantly cheaper and significantly faster. So we're going to throw that in real quick. I think we're ready. Got the new oil supply line installed. I've got a new gasket for the oil return line. This is not a fun job. So the biggest problem is, well, you got to get around this oil supply line, but then you also have to sneak that oil return line underneath of the up pipes and attach it onto these studs back here at the back of the engine. And really, to do this right, you're supposed to remove these up pipes. But again, this is a 20-year-old truck, and we're in Illinois. Those things aren't going to come off the manifolds without a fight. And those are bolts that you do not want to break off. And actually, if you read the GM official procedure for how to replace this turbo, you're supposed to pull the transmission, which would make it a lot easier, but man, that's a lot of work. They basically started with a turbocharger, and they built a truck around it. Okay, let's see if we can get it in there. I did put this strap on the up pipe to kind of pull it up out of the way. You know, it's designed to flex. Oh yeah, then we got to sneak the gaskets in there. We'll figure it out. The other problem is this turbo. It weighs over 50 pounds. So far, so good. Guess we got gravity on our side. Yeah, that line goes right past the turbo without the solenoid installed. I should have thought of that. Okay. Not bad. Now I gotta sneak that return line under the up pipe. That's no fun. Well, going in is a whole lot easier than coming out. Let me try to show you guys what I'm working with here. There. So that is the oil return line. It goes right down into the top of the engine. Those are the up pipes that are going to bolt to the back of the turbo. We'll do that next. Then there's a bracket there for the transmission vent that has to go back on. And the up pipe has to go back in, and then this bracket for the transmission dipstick has to go back on. It is not fun working back here, but you can do it. The turbo is bolted down. The up pipes are bolted up with new gaskets. See the drain tube attached there. Looking good. We need to install a couple of heat shields and the down pipe, and we'll be done with the really nasty part of this job. Let's get that off there. Got a new one. You guys can't see. It was on there. There's the up pipe. There it is. Well, it sure goes back together a lot easier than it comes apart. These exhaust flanges are always really frozen. There we go.
If I knew how to zoom, I would zoom in. Oh. I hope you have some good music to go over this.
The 9 miles of threads. Oh man.
You want me to do it?
Telling you, this is the General Motors Mechanics Children's College Tuition Fund. It ain't getting any better than that. Alright, I guess I could do it myself, but thanks for the moral support.
You're welcome.
I think the worst part of this job might be this glow plug control module bracket. There's the bolts down there on the bottom side. You can't see them, you can't touch them. I don't even have a tool that will reach them. I can get one click on a ratcheting wrench. It's going to take me 20 minutes to install those 3 bolts. Well, 2 bolts. The one on top's pretty easy. We got some wet, cold, nasty weather rolling in. So it's a good thing we're almost done. I got new coolant hoses installed. They're just little short jumpers. This one was in really bad shape. The other one wasn't too bad, but I went ahead and replaced them both. The GM parts were prohibitively expensive, so I just bought a generic Dayco elbow. I believe the part number is 81000. I am going to need the adapter for the vane position sensor, so I'm glad they suggested that. And then really the last thing I've got to do is pre-lube the turbo. So we're just going to stick some oil in here. Maybe give her a spin. We'll hook up the oil line and the air tubes, and we should be done with this thing. I think we're done. Just in time. Here comes the rain. Let's see what it does. I cleared the codes. We're watching the same live data. That's what it should do. See that? It just immediately responded. Fantastic. Alright, well we'll make sure there's no oil leaks or coolant leaks and we'll call this job done. That's it. Diagnosing, removing, and replacing the turbocharger on a 2005 Silverado 2500 HD with the Duramax diesel engine. I believe it's an LLY RPO code. It's doable, but it is not for the faint of heart. I believe the book time is over 12 hours, and if the truck's a 20-year-old rust bucket like this one, and you're working in your driveway and you've never done one before like I was, you ain't gonna get it done in 12 hours. Trust me. If you have a need for diesel turbochargers, injectors, injection pumps, anything like that, check out Area Diesel Service. I will put a link to their website in the description. I can't say enough good things about them. Next time we'll be back on the office project. I've made progress, you just probably can't tell from here. So, thanks again for watching.